Have you ever heard of a grown man accidentally feeding his kids, dog food?
Wow, no.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
And the reason why he was doing that was because he couldn't read the labels.
I see.
This is a real thing that a lot of adults struggle with, low literacy, and it's one of the many sort of heartbreaking details that we're going to find out about in the life of Arnie Stewart.
Mm.
He later became a literacy advocate, and this is what our deep dive today is going to be all about.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how something as, basic as reading that a lot of us take for granted can really impact every single aspect of your life.
Yeah.
When we talk about Arnie's story, it's not just about him learning to read, it's about all these other things that come with, having low literacy, like the shame, the limited choices you have, the daily struggles.
Yeah, it's a huge domino effect. So we're diving into Arnie's story today, from his tough beginnings all the way to his incredible work as an advocate for literacy. And the main source we're using for this deep dive is a press release announcing Janet Leigh's book, Always Ask for Help, which tells Arnie's story. And we'll get into Janet Leigh's remarkable role a little bit later.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, she was very close with Arnie.
Okay.
But first, I think it'd be great to start off by talking about Arnie's sort of difficult beginnings. So where did this all begin?
Well, his story starts in Cobalt, Ontario. It was a mining town. And just imagine growing up in poverty, being one of 12 children, and on top of that, not being able to read. I mean, that's got to be extremely difficult. It wasn't just a challenge for him, it was like a source of deep shame.
Yeah, I can only imagine. The press release mentions that Arnie often relied on humor to sort of deflect his embarrassment. It's amazing that he carried that burden for so long, just using laughter as a shield.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much resilience that takes, right? To constantly be using humor to deflect that. But ultimately, that resilience led him to a literacy center when he was 45. Like, imagine the courage it takes to just walk in there and admit, I can't read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's incredible. I mean, 45 years old, most people, I think, would just give up at that point.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't just about him picking up a skill. It was about him reclaiming his life.
For sure.
And this is where Janet Leigh enters the picture, right? She was an educator, and she first encountered Arnie when he was giving a presentation to her high school students.
Yeah, and she was blown away by the impact that he had, especially on the students who were struggling themselves. Can you imagine this man who had overcome so much, shares his story, and empowers others to seek help? Like, the connection that he made with the students was undeniable.
Absolutely. And what I find interesting is that they joined forces after that to raise awareness about the importance of literacy. But they didn't create these complex programs or launch some big campaign. They kept it really simple and powerful.
Right. Like, they literally created cards that just said, always ask for help.
It seems so basic.
Yeah.
But it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, why is it so hard for people to ask for help?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's because a lot of times we're just conditioned to appear like we have it all together, right?
Right.
We're taught to just tough it out and not burden other people with our problems. But Arnie's story really shows us how powerful vulnerability can be.
I think that's a really, really important message that, a lot of people need to hear because we're all struggling with something. And it's okay to, ask for help. It's okay to not be okay.
Exactly. And, by asking for help, you're not only helping yourself, but you're also opening up that space for other people to do the same.
Right.
So Arnie's legacy continues to inspire even after he passed away from cancer in 2012. His final words to Janet were just incredibly moving. He said, "Tell the kids to never be afraid and to always ask for help."
I mean, wow. That's a powerful statement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those words are a real testament to his character and, the impact that he had on everyone around him. And, it's great that Janet is carrying his message forward through her book and through speaking engagements. And she's even producing a documentary about Arnie's life and the issue of low literacy.
Yeah, and I think Arnie's story is a great example of how just one person can make a huge difference. I mean, he went from struggling to read to inspiring tons of other people.
Yeah, and, it makes you wonder, what can we do to support these literacy initiatives, in our own communities?
I mean, there's so many ways, right? You can donate to a literacy program in your area or volunteer at a library. Maybe you know a child who's having trouble reading and you could help them out. Even something small can have a domino effect, just like Arnie's story shows us.
Exactly. And I think Arnie's story is a powerful reminder that it's never too late to learn and grow and make a difference. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just ask for help.
Couldn't agree more.
So everyone listening, what can you do today to help someone in need?
Yeah, think about that.
And that is our deep dive for today.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.